Hi and welcome to episode 21 of the Tea and Possibilities podcast. I'm Nikki and this is a podcast all about knitting, crochet and making all the things here in northwest London. You can find me online on Twitter and Instagram at hippie_Nikki. I'm Nikki Hippie on Ravelry, and if you search for Tea and Possibilities under the groups tab, you will find our group right there. As always, all of the show notes will be on my blog and you can find links to everything just down below. I would like to say a massive welcome to any new viewers. Thank you so much for giving the podcast a shot, and a massive welcome back to my returning viewers. I always appreciate you coming back every week. Just a reminder that the Best Year Ever Cow is running at the moment. It started on the 1st of January and will run until December the 31st. And you can find more details about that online. I will link to all of the rules and regulations. But essentially, make 4 things that bring you joy this year, and you could be in for a chance to win a prize. This week's tea is a new one. It was a gift from Rich's aunt in Cornwall for my birthday. I haven't actually tried it yet because it got put away when we moved, and then I found it again while I was looking for something else this week. And it is lemon verbena flavour, which I've never had before. It's by a company called Tregothnan, and that's their box. It smells absolutely amazing. They're all individually wrapped, but you can still smell them quite strongly. It's very strange because it doesn't actually smell lemony. No, it doesn't. It smells sort of, it reminds me of mint tea. It's really refreshing. It's really, really nice. I think next time we go to Cornwall, I'm going to have to look these guys up and bring home a few more boxes of different flavours. This is really, really nice tea. Speaking of tea, I had my first iced tea last weekend. I haven't had iced tea probably since I was in America in my teens. I think that was the last time that I drank it like quite a lot. I've had Lipton's iced tea in the bottles and it's not very nice. But we happened to go for a pub lunch on Sunday and it was absolutely boiling last weekend. So we decided just to have soft drinks because it was just too hot. And I was just going to have water, and they said, we've got some iced tea, do you want to try it? And I thought, yeah, why not? And it was delicious. It was so good. So I have Googled a lot this week about iced tea. And of course the weather has not been quite warm enough since to make it, but I am ready when the weather warms up again. I am so ready to make some iced tea. Speaking of last weekend, I just want to apologise for the lack of podcast. I had intended to podcast, but that week I had actually had to take the Monday off work because I had a migraine. So I spent pretty much all day in bed in the dark, and it left me feeling quite, I think hungover is probably the best word. Yeah, I always spend the next few days after a migraine feeling quite tender and a bit delicate. So I was drinking loads and loads of water to try and kind of flush it out of my system. And then it got really hot, which meant my hay fever kicked in. I don't know if you can hear it, but I had really horrendous hay fever last weekend because it was so hot. I just felt awful. But by the same token, it was so beautiful. I wanted to go out and enjoy the sunshine. So the combination of things just meant that I didn't quite have time to podcast. And when I did sit down to podcast, my next door neighbours were having a barbecue and were playing music quite loudly. And you know what? It was a beautiful weekend. Why not? But I am back this week. I have got lots and lots to talk about this week. I will try to keep the snuffling to a minimum. Please forgive me. I do get really rotten hay fever in the spring, and thankfully I'm very lucky that I don't have it in the summer. So let's move on to Whipped Up. In a row where I am able to kick off Whipped Up with a finished object. Isn't she amazing? This finally is my finished Triceratops head, as you can see. This is the Taxidermy Dinosaur Head by Sincerely Louise. I picked up this kit last March 2016 at the Knitting and Stitching Show because I love it. Dinosaurs were the thing I was most obsessed with when I was a child. I wanted to be a paleontologist. Jurassic Park was my favourite film. I insisted on going when it first came out. I was very, very young, and I sat in the front row and remember not being scared of it at all, just finding it fascinating, because I didn't know that T-Rex couldn't see you if you didn't move and all these things, and I just found it was amazing. So this, when I saw her, I had to have her. She was my favourite when I was a kid, and now I think she was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. This is just the best thing I've ever made. If you are a returning viewer, you will know that I cast this on back in February. As you can see, it's made out of very chunky yarn, it's Signet Chunky, and it knits up so quickly. I mean, if you had the bank holiday weekend, you could definitely make this in a weekend easily. But there is a lot of seaming, so much seaming, and I hate seaming, let alone a project like this, which is seaming for days. So I did put off putting her together, and I had all the pieces, and I just didn't put it together for the longest time. And then I decided this weekend I'm absolutely going to put her together. I want her finished. I want to show her to you. So on Friday night, I started putting it together while we watched a film. I won't mention the film because it's awful. But I put together pretty much all of it. I put the frill on, and it was all ready to go on its MDF backing board, which I decided to do because it's quite late. I decided to do that on Saturday night. And when I sat down to do it on Saturday night, I looked at the frill and I wasn't happy with it. I'd put it much further back than this, and it was a lot more squat than it is at the moment. It does need a little bit more floofing up, I think. But yeah, there we go. So I took it off, I reattached it, still didn't like it, took it off again, and was just really, really nitpicky about the frill, because you kind of have to be, you know, it's what makes, apart from the horns, which are really simple to attach, the frill is what makes it. I would say this is a great project for an adventurous beginner, because it knits up so quickly, because the making of the pieces is fairly simple. The adventurous part would definitely come with the seaming. This part I definitely found really frustrating. The rest of it was really straightforward. The pattern is incredible. I'm just massively fussy and wanted to, you know, get this finished really, really beautifully. She's currently just sitting on a shelf at the end of our bed. The intention is that she will live in our hallway when we have our own place. And when we do have our own place, I'm going to make her a necklace. She's going to have a little felt banner hanging around her neck that's going to say welcome or something like that, so that when people come to visit, this will be the first thing they see, my lovely dinosaur head. Life finds a way. You have no idea how happy this has made me. It's probably the most bonkers thing I've ever knit. Rich was sat there watching me seam it together and just kind of kept going like, what are you doing? When I finished it, he was like, this is nuts, but it is amazing. This is not normal behaviour to have a knitted animal head in your room. We're probably not going to have any more. But yeah, I think my mum and Nan were also a little bit like, why? But they think it's cool. There doesn't need to be a why. It made me happy. It is definitely going into the best yet cow with my beautiful blanket that I made for my friend's baby shower. Speaking of, I know that last episode you didn't get a really good view of the blanket and it didn't have its tassels. So this weekend, on the rare moment of brightness, because you all know that when it's a bank holiday weekend, the sun goes away and waits to come out when you're back at work. But we found a couple of moments of brightness and we went out and we did a little bit of filming so you can see it in all its glory. So as you can see, I have attached the tassels and you can see all the beautiful colours. You can see how large it is in this video as well. And yeah, that is my other most recent finished object, which I will be delivering next weekend at my friend's baby shower. Just as a reminder, that was knit out of Paintbox Yarns Simply Chunky, which I got as a colour set because the Crochet Girl Gang blanket was made in conjunction with Love Crochet. When I showed you the Crochet Girl Gang blanket last weekend, I told you that I had a lot of leftovers and I was planning to make a blanket for my lovely friend who is going away to Shanghai in September. So I made a start on it last week and I did alter what I was planning slightly. I think I said that I was planning to do hump stitch because I really liked doing that in the Crochet Girl Gang blanket. I really enjoyed that stitch. I like how it crocheted up. I like the finished look of it. And then I started on my blanket and I looked at the leftovers I had, and it's quite a spot stitch. And I thought I'm going to need a lot more yarn to make a blanket than if I did just your regular granny stripe. So granny stripe it has become. There you go. I've done 2 colour repeats. So I'm basically doing an ombre effect. So I'm going from the yellow all the way up to the red and then back down to the yellow, and then I'll go back up to the red again. So there should be this really nice undulation of colour. And I think I said last podcast I was thinking of putting in a grey stripe. So my plan had been to go up to the red, put a grey stripe in and then start again with the yellow. And then when I had the idea about doing the colours kind of going along in a wave, I thought about putting the grey stripe in and then starting going back the other way, back towards the yellow. But actually I really like this. I love how warm this looks. Doesn't this look so warm and toasty? So I've decided to save the grey ball that I have. I have 1 grey ball left and that's going to be my border. And I'm probably going to do 2 or 3 rows of hump stitch as a nice border on this. Speaking of leftovers, now I've started, I think I might need to buy more to finish this blanket, which is ridiculous. But at the moment I'm going to work through what I have and then buy as I need it. At the moment I don't think I have enough yellow and I don't know if I have enough of this pale orange here. I'm just starting another row of the pale orange. Don't you feel like a rebel when you crochet and you can just stop bang in the middle of a row? You can't do that with knitting, but crochet, you can just like, oh yeah, just pull it through. It's fine, no problem. I love that, it makes it so portable. So yeah, that is what I've been working on. This is very much my go-to when I'm not feeling well. When I was kind of waking up from my migraine, I worked on this. When I've felt really, really bad with my hay fever, I get quite sore eyes. I generally just feel like I've got the worst cold in the world. I work on this because it's nice and simple. I'm taking it to work because it actually folds up at the moment quite small. There you go. It's nice and small, and I take the colour I'm working on in the next colour, and I think what I might do is I might move it into work. I might just leave it there and work on it every lunchtime because, as I say, she's not going away till September, and I've spoken to the rest of the friends in our little group, and we've decided to add to this and put together a little box of British goodies, so some favourite teas and some favourite chocolates, all things to give her a little taste of home. And we're thinking that rather than give that to her and expect her to pack it and go off with a suitcase full of tea and chocolate, we're actually going to make up a little parcel and send it to her so that it will arrive a couple of days after she does, and it'll just be a nice little kind of hug from home is our plan. So hopefully she will love it. I know she said she liked the colours when I was working on the baby blanket. Hopefully she will love it. If not, it's always got a home with me because I think these colours are beautiful. I'm not really into these bright reds and oranges. I don't think they suit me for garments, but I didn't even think of having them as blankets and things around the house, and this is just gorgeous and toasty and lovely. I'm using the granny stripe pattern from Attic 24, the leftover Simply Chunky yarn from Paint Box Yarns, which is 100% acrylic, really soft and lovely and hopefully easy to care for, and a size 5 crochet hook. So nice and simple and straightforward. My next project, I always have a tale of woe, don't I? Always. This is my Find Your House shawl. It's the Find Your Fade shawl by Andrea Mowry, and I'm using a variety of yarns that I got at Edinburgh Yarn Festival, knit up to be the Hogwarts crest and all the houses. And I'm having a time of it, guys. I really am. Do you ever have those patterns where you cast on and something goes wrong, so you rip out, and you cast on again and you get past that bit, but something else goes wrong, and then something else goes wrong, and then da-da-da, and you end up casting it on a gazillion times? No? Just me? It feels like it's just me. It doesn't happen often, but sometimes I just get these mental blocks, and I don't know why. I've no idea why, and I just feel like I'm banging my head up against a brick wall. But that's a little bit how it's been with this pattern. So this is all I've done. This is the Hogwarts crest yarn. This is Old Maiden Aunt in her Bluebells colourway on her sparkle base. And it's beautiful. You can see how beautiful this yarn is, how beautiful the colour is. You can see how beautiful the pattern is. This is my 5th cast on. I nearly dropped the ball. This is my 5th cast on of this project. I don't know why, I just found it so, I just somehow kept losing stitches and I couldn't figure out where, so I was like, okay, I'll just rip out and start again, because I'm so near the beginning. And then I got to the lace and I miscounted the lace, and yeah. So once I got past the lace section, I'm about to start another garter section, and I'm going to do that in purple. I haven't decided. I think that will be, actually, I have decided, I think that will be the last purple section, that garter section of the following lace, and then I'll go over to the Ravenclaw blue. I wasn't sure, but I think that's probably enough purple. I think it's going to be one of those things that I decide when I see it. But currently I'm working on the idea that the next garter and the next lace is the last of the purple. That's convoluted, sorry. But once I finished the lace, I decided, you know what, I have to put this down because it's driving me mad. And I did that thing, which is probably not what you're supposed to do, which is I just kept ripping it out and knitting it because I was determined to get to the end of the first lace section. And I was going to sit there and do it until I got to the end of that lace section. I don't recommend that. That way madness lies. But I did it. I did it. And it's a slightly bigger beard. It's probably not a Jafar beard anymore. Maybe I'm on my way to being Father Christmas? Maybe? So yeah, this week I am hoping to finish up the purple. So do another garter, another lace, and hopefully cake up that blue and get started on it. I am taking my skein of Martin's Lab in the tweedy, lovely Ravenclaw blue that I've got. I'm taking it to work because we've got a Swift and ball winder there, and I'm getting it wound properly. I do not want a repeat of 3 hours of untangling beautiful yarn to the point of tears. I just don't want that. I do not want it. This is definitely not going to get finished before I go to Harry Potter Studios. I am going on the 27th of April. I had this mad idea that if I worked on it monogamously, that would happen. It might have done. It's not going to happen now. But I have spoken to some lovely friends who have said they would quite like to go towards the end of the year. So I have a date. I'm going to try and get this finished so that late summer, early autumn, this can go on a trip to Harry Potter Studios with me and get photographed at Hogwarts. That is the plan. I do still love this. I think it's a beautiful pattern. Andrea Mowry has just released 2 really great instructional videos on how to do the decrease in the middle and how to do the lace. I've skimmed through those. I'm going to sit and watch them again properly. Yeah, I needed a break. So I dived into my Triceratops head and my stripy blanket, and I think I'm ready. Having said that, I have found some crochet cotton, which I will be using as lifelines, and every single row I get right will have a lifeline in. That is my plan, because at least then when I rip out, I know I'm safe. Now, I don't know if I've mentioned, but today is Easter Monday. I usually record on a Saturday, but we went out on Saturday. And I was going to record before lunch tomorrow, but it was the light was really up and down all day. It was quite cloudy, so there was really bright and then really dark, and I decided, you know what, this is going to take me longer than if I wait till tomorrow when it's apparently going to be overcast, which it is, which is great for filming. So I decided to just pack a load of projects into a bag and head out to our friends for our lamb roast. And I have to admit, I packed my stripy blanket and my Find Your Fade, or Find Your House as I'm calling it. And I sat there and was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to work on the fade because I'm here to be social, and I don't want to just be counting maniacally or sobbing when it inevitably goes wrong. And I didn't fancy my stripes either. So I had packed some spare needles and a ball of Cascade 220 Superwash, just in case I fancied casting on my hortensia. And I did fancy casting on my hortensia. So first of all, this is the Hortensia by Andy Satterland. It is knit out of Cascade 220 Superwash in the Purple Heathers colourway, and I am using size 5 needles. I actually ordered a new pair of interchangeables because my other sci-fis? My other size 5s are in use on my Lily Pilly. So I got myself another set. So this is how much I've done, and I warn you, it doesn't look like much. But I've got the upper back here. I didn't have a stitch holder long enough, so I've just used some sock yarn to hold the stitches. And I'm just knitting on the right front there, which I've actually almost finished. I haven't got much left, so I'm hoping to finish that today and get the bulk of the left front done. I'm really surprised by how quickly this is knitting up. I started this last night. We watched Aladdin and we watched Moana, and I probably did 5 rows on it this morning. So that's, you know, it knits up really quickly. It's worsted weight yarn, which absolutely definitely helps, and it's an amazing pattern. Katie of Inside Number 23 has knit 2, 3, some of Andy Satterland's patterns, and she raves about them, and I can see why. Because they are so simple and so straightforward. I don't have much experience doing short rows. I feel totally safe with this pattern. It's just beautiful. I cannot wait to wear this. I have knit it in a purple very similar to the purple she's wearing in the pattern. I love purple. I think a dark enough purple is a neutral. So yeah, that is my latest cast on. I'm hoping it's not going to take that long, because if that's essentially one evening's work, it's not going to take that long at all. So maybe I will have my 3rd entry for the Best Year Ever cow in a few weeks' time. I do have to go out and get some ribbon and some buttons to finish it off. It has 2 buttons, and I want to get some ribbon, and I really want to finish this to a really high standard and just make it as beautiful and as perfect as I possibly can. So yeah, I'm really, really excited to have, it doesn't look like a cardigan at all, does it? But I'm really excited to have a garment on the needles after spending the first quarter of the year working on accessories and things. I have been quite a busy bee, despite the fact that I haven't had loads of knitting time. I have been working a lot on giving my Ravelry a spring clean. So if you hop on over there, if you ever do, I had a very long queue. When I had to skim through it one day on my lunch break, I was thinking, some of these I'm just queuing because I want to knit them, and they don't necessarily fit into my idea of what my wardrobe will look like, because I haven't had the time to sit down and sketch out my ideas for the wardrobe project, because frankly, when I have big chunks of time, I want to knit, not sketch. But I have been thinking about it a lot, and I have a really strong idea of the kind of outfits I want to create, and these are not necessarily good components for that wardrobe. So I went through my queue and I tidied up and I removed all the things that were just there because I thought they were pretty, and I added in a couple of other things that I'd heard about, and then I ordered my queue. So it is now more or less in the order that I want to do things. The things that I wasn't sure when I wanted to make, like there's some Christmas decorations, I just put to the end to be picked up as and when. But like the first 10 or so are definitely in the correct order, which just made me feel really good. I then tackled my stash. I say tackled, by that I mean I deleted everything that was in my stash because it just wasn't very well done. There were some things in there, some things that weren't, some things that had been used up and I hadn't like noted that. So I just deleted it with the intention to take some time. I've got some time off coming up in May and I intend to sit down with my stash, add it all to Ravelry, and when I can, add some photographs as well. And I am just a little bit OCD about my Ravelry. I like it to be up to date. I like it to be as reflective as possible of what I'm doing. I don't know why. I just like it. I just like it being really neat and tidy and up to date. The only thing that I currently have plans for that isn't in Ravelry is something I spotted on Instagram yesterday. The Frank and Olive account on Instagram posted a really beautiful cardigan I hadn't seen before, and it's a really long line duster cardigan, crocheted, which she's done in bright orange, and it's cotton, and it's not available on Ravelry. So I'm a little bit like, if it's not in my queue, does it actually exist as a thing I want to do? But I have got plans to, at some point, maybe over the summer, heading into autumn as it gets cooler, because it's obviously quite a big project. I'm thinking of knitting, crochet. I'm thinking of crocheting it up in a nice kind of mid-grey, so it'd make a really nice transitional coat kind of thing. I just think it'd be really nice. I love long line cardigans, and this looks elegant rather than schlubby. I've also never crocheted a garment, so that would be really fun. I'd really like to do that. Just to keep you updated, I did post off my Reddit yarn exchange gift over a week ago. So I'm eagerly watching the Reddit gift exchange to see when it arrives, what she thinks. My gift has yet to arrive. I'm really excited about it because my partner was really, really sweet and sent me a message on Reddit and said she would love to gift me a pattern to go along with what she sent me, particularly as she knows it's an international post, so it would be a while before I got it, so I have to have something in the interim. And she said, would I be happy for her to get something from my queue? And I said yes, and a day or so later I received a lovely message to say she had gifted me the Dryad hat by Anne Podlesack, which I think is beautiful, and I'm kind of hoping that when my yarn arrives it will be perfect for that hat, because I just think that would be so nice to make something that from a pattern and from a yarn that I've received as part of this exchange, which has just been really fun. I was inspired to pay it forward to my partner, which was also an international post, and offered to get her a pattern on Ravelry in the meantime. She was very sweet about it and pointed me in the direction of her queue, and I bought something for her. So yeah, we're paying it forward here, guys, and I absolutely can't wait to share it with you when it arrives. That being said, I have had some amazing posts. You may know, if you've listened to earlier episodes, we were running an Easter swap in the group. The lovely Lintera offered to arrange it because it was kind of a hectic time for me in March, and it was great. I would love to hear what you guys have received, what you sent. In fact, I'm going to start a post for that. I'm definitely going to do that. But in the meantime, my little gift from Lintera arrived. I have messaged her, but I just want to say again, thank you so much. This is such a sweet gift. Thank you. She did include chocolate. There were like, I mean, if you're in the UK, they were like Rolos, and I had like a chocolate orange, but better than a Terry's chocolate orange. So good. They are long gone. It's Easter. They didn't make it to yesterday, to Easter Sunday, I'm not going to lie. They're gone. But you can imagine that, you know, making up this parcel, it was amazing. They were so tasty. But she also included, it's wrapped up still, but it smells so good. It's a tea, and it's in Norwegian, so I can't read it, but it smells like apple and orange. And I think this would make amazing iced tea. In fact, that was what I was planning to do with it this weekend, and then it wasn't warm enough. Oh, side note, somebody did ask me how I got on with the chocolate orange tea, and the answer is I haven't tried it yet, because when I found my teapot, I couldn't find my chocolate orange tea. So I am on the hunt for it, and as soon as it turns up, I will be trying it. But this smells so good, this smells so summery. I am definitely making iced tea out of this. It's just going to be so good. It smells so good. Oh, it literally made my whole room smell of oranges and apples. It was, oh, I wish you had smell-o-vision, it's so good. But of course, what's a swap without some yarn? She sent me these beautiful little minis. I love this one. It's like circus yarn. But I think this one is my favourite, with all greys and pinks in. And it's a lovely mix of drops and regia and opal. And these are going to be right at home in my Cozy Memories blanket. Thank you so much. But this week we actually have more than just whipped up a knit and natter. So let's move on for the first time in ages to goal power. Now this isn't going to be a particularly long segment. It's more me kind of thinking out loud about my plans for my bullet journal. I'm still using it, but I have gone so analogue with this. I'm really not spending any time colouring in, using colours, making it pretty. I find I don't really have time for it. All I have been doing is at the beginning of the week writing out a list of things I want to do for the week. So these might be meeting with friends, gym classes I want to take, things to do, bits and pieces. We're still kind of cancelling things in Portsmouth and so on and so forth. So all little reminders like that. And then when I sit down in the morning to write my daily to-do list, I pull from that larger list. And that's basically all I've been doing. I have found it really frustrating the last couple of months, the inability to plan ahead with the bullet journal system, unless you take the time to sit down and draw out the next few months, which, as I've said before, when I have spare time I want to knit, and I find it kind of annoying to have to do that, because for me bullet journaling is not a hobby. I know some people who use it as a practical system but also as a hobby, and they make beautiful journals. They are stunning. That's just not me. I'm not interested in spending time doing beautiful like fonts or anything like that. I just want it to work. And I don't want to sit down drawing out calendars. So I decided, and I haven't stuck this in yet so that I could show you, that the answer to my prayers might be one of these. This is a Filofax calendar. It's A5. I used to have one, I used to have a personal sized Filofax, and I used to have one of these in there. And it's just a fold out yearly calendar. And it's got things back and front. And I'm going to stick it in with some just box standard sellotape, and I can fill in all my plans here without having to worry about having the time to draw out the upcoming month. So this has been a bit of a lifesaver. I'm really happy about it. Now that I've shown you, I'm going to stick it in. However, I am wondering if I am coming to the end of my love affair with this particular iteration of the bullet journal. I really like how practical it is. I like how simple it is. I did wonder if maybe I was thinking about going back to Filofax. I still have my personal sized Filofax because I just didn't want to get rid of it in the off chance that I might want to use it again. But the problem I have with the Filofax is the rings. It's both the beauty and the curse, because I don't want to. I really like having something that I don't have to buy a new diary every year. I can just open up the rings and pop them back in and things like that, and I can move things around. I really like that. But I also find them quite difficult to then like doodle in and write out ideas and write comfortably as a notebook. It works very well for me as a diary, but as a notebook, not so much, and I don't want to carry two. So I did wonder if maybe if I went up to the A5 size, you can get really beautiful original Filofaxes that fold completely flat. But again, that's just too big. It's just unnecessarily large. This is nice and small. This is an A5, but it doesn't have the bulk of a Filofax. So I'm kind of like, what do I do? What do I do? And then I watched CC of the Geeky Girls Knit is doing a vlog every day in April challenge, and she did one quite recently about bullet journaling, and she talked about the Traveller's Notebook. I got the Traveller's Notebook. I have the leather one. It's a nice thing to have, but it is very narrow because it is a Japanese product. So it is very narrow, hasn't got the width. And again, I found that really annoying to write on because I like writing instead of, in these narrow spaces. So it didn't quite work for me. But her system was really interesting because I think she had 4 books in there, and she had, one for future plans, one for journaling, one for her daily to-dos. And I got thinking that it would be really nice if I could do that, because then I could have a book at the beginning where I use it literally as the traditional bullet journal system, by which I mean I would draw out May 1 to 31 and fill in anything that I had coming up, June, etc. And that would not be annoying because I wouldn't have to draw anything out. I would literally do it as a list format on each page. And then I could have my next book as a future log, so savings plans, goal setting, things like that. And then in the third book I could have my weekly and then daily lists. So I have started looking on Etsy for really beautiful traveller's notebooks that are wider. I'm looking for one that is about this size, that I can fit 3 is this A5? I suppose it is. Moleskin notebooks in. I think that might be the answer for me. If you know of any great vendors on Etsy who do beautiful things like that you can ask them to customise as many elastics as you want, please let me know. Cece's got one that's waterproof, which I think sounds like a really good idea considering how I carry it around and it gets really battered. So yeah, I'm thinking that might be where I go. Maybe. I mean, you can never tell. It's an ongoing process, planning. When you like planning, there's always a new thing to try. I really like that idea. I really like the idea that when a book is finished you can take it out and you don't have to remove the other elements, because what I did consider doing with this was having all of my months of the year at the front, my future log at the back, and then use the middle, but then there's no room really. You have to commit to, I'm going to use this amount of pages, which is not ideal. So yeah, as I said, I'm kind of thinking out loud. I'm considering combining bullet journaling with traveller's notebook with the flexibility of the Filofax. So do let me know if you know of any great vendors. I just want something that's going to be pretty but practical. If you have any tips for videos that I might want to watch for inspiration, please let me know. I will link to Cece's video because it was really interesting. I love nothing more than seeing how other people set up their planners. And what I liked about Cece's was she's like me. She's not someone who draws or doodles and makes her pages look stunning. She uses stickers, she uses washi tape, but ultimately what she has is a practical system, and I love it, and I kind of want to steal it. Sorry, Cece. But let's move on to knit and letter. Today is very, very short. I wanted just to let you know what I've got up to this Easter weekend. We had a beautiful 4-day weekend. Unlike last weekend, it wasn't blazing sunshine. But hey, when you live in the UK, you understand that. You enjoy the heat when it's here. Because to all my foreign listeners, to everyone abroad, the UK can get really, really, really hot. If you were here last weekend, you would have seen that. But yeah, we had a great time. Friday we completely chilled out. It was so good. We slept in, I knitted, it was glorious, absolutely glorious. And then on Saturday we had a jaunt out to the countryside. We went to Wheat Hampstead, which is in Hertfordshire,
which is the county right next to London. It only took us about 45 minutes to get there, and we had a ridiculously massive pub lunch. I got a starter and a main course, and frankly, I could have just had the starter. He's so big, like ridiculously big. And then we went out for a walk because we needed to work that off, frankly. And we just went for a beautiful walk through the countryside. We did have to cut across a golf course at one point, which was weird, and every time I heard a club hitting a ball, I was like, I'm freaking out that I was going to get like hit in the head with a golf ball and I'd never finish a garment again or something. I don't know. I thought I was just being wiped out by this golf ball, and that would be how it ended, which was silly. But I loved it. We saw quite a lot of like English wildlife. We had some ducks, we fed some ducks, and then we came across some sheep. And I put a picture on my Instagram, and I tried to get a video, but I was so busy oohing and ahhing that the video was just all over the place. But these sheep were so lively, these little baby lambs, and they were so tiny and so new, and they were just running around and leaping, and it was a really beautiful day on Saturday. It wasn't as hot as it has been, but it was beautiful. It was so lovely to see them. And then we came across some Shetland ponies, one of which had a tiny baby Shetland pony, and they're my favourites in the world. I love horses. Shetland ponies are just so cute and ridiculous looking. I love them. And then as we were walking back to the car, there was a horse who was just peering over the fence and looking quite curious. So we went over, we must have been there about 15 minutes, just like giving her nose a rub and scratching behind her ears, and it was just lovely. It was really lovely to get out of London. And then we headed back, and as I said yesterday, we had a roast with our friends, full lamb roast. It was incredible. It was so good. I could eat that again. So tasty. And then we watched Aladdin and Moana. And today I am podcasting, and when I finish filming, we are going to pop out and get some food, maybe do some meal planning for the week. And between you and I, I'm going to just wander off while Rich is doing the cooking and book his birthday treat. So that's between you and I. Don't tell him. I don't think he watches. I won't mention what I'm booking, just in case, but it's getting booked today. But yeah, that was my Easter weekend. It was really, really lovely, very relaxing, just what I needed, frankly. And I have a very busy weekend next week. On the Saturday, I'm going to a writing workshop, and then straight from there to my friend's baby shower. So I will be filming on the Sunday. It may go up a little bit later than usual, maybe Tuesday, but it will be there. There will be an episode, and I will tell you all about my weekend then. But in the meantime, I hope wherever you are, you've had a lovely long weekend. I hope you spent lots of time with your family. I hope you have enjoyed yourself and relaxed. I will see you next week for another cup of tea. Take care. Bye.